Hello, everyone. We're about 2 minutes after 1, so we'll get going. Welcome to today's webinar on MIRATECH's new Apex Catalyst product line. I'm Tim Hansen, the marketing coordinator here at MIRATECH. I'm joined by our presenter, Ryan Klewer. He's MIRATECH's regional sales manager. If you have any questions during this presentation, please submit them at any time in the questions section. We will answer them at the end of the webinar. If we don't get to your question during this webinar, please know we will follow up after the event and answer any of your questions. Also, a recorded version of this webinar will be made available, and I'll email it to everyone here, including everyone who registered who couldn't make it, along with our contact information, just in case anyone has any follow-up questions that they do not submit during this webinar. Let's get started. Ryan, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Welcome, and thanks everybody for taking time out of your day to hop on and learn some more about our Apex Catalyst product line. Really happy to have everybody here to jump on this webinar and get everything going. So my name is Ryan Klewer. Like Tim mentioned, I'm our regional account manager for our energy infrastructure division. I cover Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle, as well as North Texas and East Texas. So if you've seen a MIRATECH truck driving around those parts of the country over the past few years, it was probably me. With that, we'll go ahead. I'll kill the webcam here and we'll get going so you guys can focus on the presentation. All right, so today we're just going to do a quick overview of who MIRATECH is as a company and what our goals are. We'll go through an abbreviated Catalyst Basics 101 course that could be a review for a lot of you guys or could be a good refresher for some. And then we'll get into the reason why we're here, which is our new Apex Catalyst portfolio. And we'll leave some time to answer any questions. I think we've got 50 minutes booked for this. We're probably going to be closer to 30 minutes on the presentation, so plenty of time for questions. And like Tim said, if you have any, just drop them in the chat and we'll answer some at the end. So everything here is our MIRATECH Group portfolio, our umbrella of companies, if you will. Each part of our business works together to reduce air pollution and sound pollution on stationary engines. That is what we do, and that is who we are as a company. We were founded in 1992. We just celebrated our 30-year anniversary last year. And in May of 2014 is where we really kind of hit an inflection point. We've been actively making acquisitions to improve our business ever since then. Starting in 2014, that was our EM Cal acquisition. Those are our brands of silencer products. In 2014 was kind of a big step for us. It allowed us to vertically integrate whenever we purchased Americhem. So that gave us full control over our own catalyst product manufacturing. They're located right here in the United States in Knoxville, Tennessee. So you can take solace in the fact that any catalyst that you have in North America or around the United States is certified as made in the USA. In 2019, we took our talents to Europe and purchased AirSonic, which is located in Germany. This helps solidify MIRATECH as a global brand and went a long way towards expanding our footprint in the EU. And then finally, as many of you probably heard back in February, we announced the acquisition of PowerTherm Maxim, and integrating their team over the course of this past year has been a real pleasure. The combination of the two of our teams has made us the market leader for emissions reductions in North America. And I really can't understate how big this acquisition has been and will continue to be, both for MIRATECH and PowerTherm and for the industry as a whole. So that's what's been going on with MIRATECH over the past few years. Here's a look at our company on a global scale. We are a global company. We're up to over 400 employees, and we've been aggressively hiring all year. I'm sure if we do a webinar at some point next year, that number is going to be 500 plus. It really just has been tremendous, the amount of growth that we've experienced over the past couple of years. You can see we've got a presence all over the world, and that's necessary because our customer base does too. So whether that's customers that have locations in California and Germany or Odessa and North Dakota, we've got teams in place around the world to help those customers to share that knowledge and share those successes between points. So that's been something that we've seen play out quite often, and is really nice whenever we come together at end of year meetings and can share success stories with the same company. So just something to note there. Here's a look at our North American energy infrastructure landscape. We sell direct in all the blue areas, the dark blue areas, notably Oklahoma and Texas. In the Rockies, our dealer is RJ Mann. They do a great job for us there. They've got offices in Kansas, Colorado, North Dakota, and Wyoming. And our dealer east of the Mississippi is Aegis. Again, they've done a phenomenal job for us in that region. They've got offices in Pennsylvania and Michigan. And each orange dot that you see here is one of our catalyst service testing centers. So this is where we wash and test catalysts. Strategically, we place one of these in every major U.S. basin, shale basin. So if you're in the Bakken, Permian, Eagle Ford, Marcellus, Mid-Con, wherever you're at, we've got a catalyst service center close regionally to you where we can help wash and test those catalysts. We also have one in Sintal, Germany. If there's any EU people on the call today, we appreciate you being here. All right, so we'll spend a minute now going through catalyst basics. Again, this could be brand new information to some, or it could be just a refresher for people who have their hands on these every day. But the main point that we'll just try to get across here, and we'll kind of stay 30 to 50,000 foot view, is just to hit on how and why a catalyst performs. So this presentation is going to be light on animations, but I did think that this was a pretty good one, just explaining kind of what a catalyst does in essence. We turn dirty, harmful exhaust gas into clean gas. And to do that, it takes a series of chemical reactions to take place. So each one of these reactions requires a certain amount of energy. And in our case, that energy is temperature. So without insanely high temperatures, these reactions aren't going to happen. And those insanely high temperatures aren't naturally occurring. So the difference between the left chart and the right chart is what we're able to achieve with the catalyst. We create that environment that allows those reactions to happen at much lower temperatures than they otherwise would. So in essence, that is what a catalyst does. All right, when working through a catalyst application, two of the main drivers that we start with are the engine's fuel type and the air-fuel ratio. And this webinar is focused on our Apex Catalyst offering, so we'll leave off the DPF and the SCR solutions for another webinar. I think we've got some. Actually, if you go back in the YouTube library, you can probably find some good ones specifically on those two, so I encourage you to check out those. And today we'll just focus on the Apex. Looking at natural gas engines, you've got two types, a rich burn and a lean burn. Starting with rich burn, these are going to be many of your Waukesha engines and some of the smaller Cat 3300, 3400 series engines. You've got an oxygen content of less than 0.5% in the fuel, which means that there's exactly enough air to combust all the fuel in the cylinder. These rich burn engines have hotter exhaust temperatures and generally higher emissions, and we use a three-way catalyst to remove NOx, CO, VOCs, and HAPs. Moving over to a lean burn engine, again, all diesel and dual fuel engines are going to fall into this lean burn category too, so just lump those in there. But the lean burn engines are going to be a lot of your larger horsepower engines. Maybe think of a Cat 3500, 3600 series engine, and you're going to have an excess amount of oxygen in the fuel. These are generally going to have cooler exhaust temperatures and lower emissions when you compare it to a rich burn engine. And we'll use an oxidation catalyst in a lean burn environment. This is going to eliminate CO, VOCs, and HAPs. We can use an SCR system on a natural gas engine to get rid of NOx. And if you need to reduce some particulate matter, eliminate that, we can use a DPF system. And these are spaces that MIRATECH plays in, and we do consider ourselves world leaders in the SCR and the DPF space. So again, make no mistake about it, but this is just focused on our Apex Catalyst offering today. Drilling down more into our oxidation catalysts, again, these are only going to be used in lean burn applications. And I've been asked a lot of times, actually, if you can put an oxidation catalyst in a rich burn engine or a three-way catalyst in a lean burn engine. The short answer is no, please don't do that. You're not going to get any significant performance by doing that, and more often than not, you're just going to ruin the catalyst, and it's going to end up being a big money spend. So just keep the oxidations in the lean burn, keep the three-way elements in the rich burn engines. With the oxidation catalyst, we're focused on removing VOCs, which are also known as non-methane, non-ethane hydrocarbons. You're going to hear me use those two terms interchangeably today, but anytime I say VOCs, that's what we're talking about. And over to the right here, we've got some chemical compound, little images for you there, but got butane, formaldehyde, and some others. And these are going to make up 85 to 95% of the VOCs that are regulated. So last time, we're focusing on the Apex Catalyst today. If you do have an SCR or DPF need, please reach out offline. I'll be happy to get in touch with you or get you in touch with the right person to help with that. All right, looking at our three-way catalyst now, and if you like chemistry, then this is a great slide for you. We've got all the reactions over there on the right, but just kind of the main takeaways, our three-way catalysts, they are for rich burn applications. Don't mix them and put them in a lean burn engine. And one of the things that's particularly important in this rich burn engine, this rich burn environment, is getting that air-fuel ratio right. These catalysts facilitate the reactions to take place, but they can't do that if the environment's not right. So a rich burn engine has to have that air-fuel ratio dialed in to the proper lambda window. Otherwise, the catalyst isn't going to perform to a maximum level. We've got a whole nother webinar on that too, I believe, or another presentation. There's a lot that goes into dialing that air-fuel ratio in. So if you do have more questions on that, we can talk about it offline, but just something to note that that's extremely important for three-way catalyst performance. The three-way catalyst destroys everything that an oxidation catalyst does, CO, VOCs, and HAPs, as well as NOx. So you can think of it as kind of an all-in-one catalyst solution, because you don't need that SCR system to take care of all the regulated pollutants. And taking a look at those chemical reactions over there to the right, really what we want to get out of this is that we've got a ton of dirty pollutants coming through our engine exhaust and hitting the catalyst. They go through a series of those chemical reactions, and the byproducts end up being water vapor, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen, which all three of those are naturally occurring compounds. All right, so what is the catalyst and what is it made of? We'll start with the substrate. We've got a couple key elements here, but we'll start with the substrate. This is you can think of it as the backbone of the catalyst. It's a metallic structure made from metallic foil. All the round ones are wound and the rectangle ones are stacked up and welded together. So there's a very tight seal and they're not going to come apart. This gives the catalyst its shape and creates turbulent flow, which causes all those molecules to bump into each other and make those chemical reactions happen. Next key element is the wash coat. This is a ceramic layer that gets applied to that metallic substrate. It creates a ton of surface area and serves as kind of the place where our precious metals get deposited on. We've got it listed as 50 microns thick here, which is extremely thin. And maybe for some context, if anybody's painted a room in their house lately, that layer of paint on the wall is anywhere from 100 to 200 microns thick. So our wash coat on our catalyst is half or 25% as thick as that. So just for some context there. And that's what's creating all the huge amounts of surface area in our element. Finally, kind of the last key piece of this catalyst is the precious metals. These are deposited on the wash coat and they help to promote all the necessary chemical reactions to take place. They're also the reason that many of you have probably had your catalyst stolen over the years. So make sure to keep those locked up. It's kind of similar to people, taking copper wire and sending it to a scrapyard. They do that for the copper, and there's precious metals inside each catalyst that you purchase from MIRATECH. So again, keep those locked away and stored in a safe spot. With all these precious metals that go into the elements, their pricing changes constantly. If you look at a 5-year trend for rhodium and platinum, you'll just see it move all over the place. And at MIRATECH, we try to stay consistent and as current as possible with that pricing. So we follow the market and we adjust our pricing accordingly, making sure to give our customers customer breaks when that price does come down. See what this one comes up here. All right, so this is a microscopic view of that wash coat that we talked about. Again, this is that ceramic layer, 50 microns thick, about half as thick as that layer of paint on the wall. And here you can kind of see all these caverns that get made, and that's the tremendous amount of surface area that it creates. It's where all the precious metals get deposited, and all this surface area allows plenty of opportunity for those exhaust gas molecules up top to come in, flood those microscopic caverns, react with each other, react with the precious metals, and then exit the catalyst as components of water vapor, carbon dioxide, or nitrogen if you're in a three-way element. This is a picture of a clean catalyst, and we'll move on here to kind of what a dirty catalyst looks like. Top right is a picture of it. You guys have probably seen something like that over the years, and unfortunately, this is kind of just a reality of where we're at right now. You can't prevent this from happening over time. Ash and contaminants, are going to block those pores. That's going to prevent your exhaust gas from accessing all those caverns and all the surface area that your wash coat makes, and it's going to prevent your catalyst from being extremely effective. Eventually, your catalyst is going to need to be washed. I talked about our catalyst service centers being located in all the major shale plays. We're going to take it to one of those, and this will restore it back closer to its original performance. So this hashing up is inevitable. Maybe on the next webinar that I do, we can introduce a forever catalyst that works no matter what's going on upstream with the engine. But a lot of this ash is created from burning up of lube oil. And so that's something that we just can't get away from right now. And this is the reality that we live in. So something that MIRATECH has paid special attention to is precious metal distribution. And that's our platinum and rhodium that we talked about earlier. We start by using the finest grades of platinum or rhodium available, and then we put that through a proprietary process that's going to evenly distribute those precious metals throughout the wash coat. This prevents the metals from clumping up, like you can see at the top, and dramatically improves our reaction sites. So just comparing the reaction sites from top and bottom, there's a huge amount more whenever you're evenly distributed throughout the wash coat. That's going to result in a lot more touch points, a lot more reactions, and in turn lead to better catalyst performance. So moving on here, another factor for catalyst performance, we've got two: precious metal loading and operating temperature. Precious metal loading is something that gets talked about quite a bit, and do want to say, so throwing more and more platinum or rhodium at a catalyst is going to make it more effective, but only to a degree. We found that increasing the precious metal loading by 40% is going to give you about a 5% performance bump. So you can't just go nuts with this. It's a balance. And if you don't have everything else right in your catalyst manufacturing process, then throwing more and more platinum on the oxidation element isn't going to provide any meaningful value. You're just going to end up with a really expensive catalyst. On the right-hand side, what we're showing is how effective catalysts are at removing specific pollutants at different temperatures. And some of you guys may have experienced this chart's just for oxidation elements, but you may have experienced the hotter you go, the better performance you're going to get on CO and VOCs, and that's exactly what we're showing here. Temperature is paramount. As much as you can increase that temperature close to 900, we're going to get better and better performance. All right, two more factors. We're talking about space velocity and, again, operating temperature. So space velocity, or sometimes if you want to get technical, we'll call it gas hourly space velocity. But what we're really just talking about is how long the exhaust gas spends in the catalyst. And as you might guess, on the left-hand side is where we've got the most amount of time spent in the catalyst. That's going to be where our best performance takes place. So one way we can play with this is by adding elements to the housing or sizing larger catalysts if we're on the front end of the design piece. Just really trying to play with it and see what we can do to allow more time for that exhaust gas to stay in the catalyst and facilitate more and more of those reactions. We want to slow down that flow is really what this is. And so whenever we're sizing solutions, we do have a minimum value for that space velocity to ensure that any emission solution that MIRATECH puts forward, sends out to our customers, is going to have that necessary exhaust time spent in the catalyst so that all those reactions can take place and we can hit the performance that we're guaranteeing. Looking to the right-hand side, these are different hydrocarbons and the effectiveness that we get at destruction at various temperatures. Really what I want to focus on here is propane, because we'll talk more about that in a minute, but that is one of the most difficult hydrocarbons for us to remove. And you can look, we really don't get too much meaningful performance in between that 80, 85, 90 range until we reach 900 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's a huge deal to get that temperature right, especially if you have tight VOC targets. And again, propane can cause some issues if you've got a lot of it in the fuel. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. So I mentioned whenever we acquired Americhem in 2017, we gained full control of our catalyst manufacturing processes. We make all of them in-house in Knoxville, and this gives us the ability to match our customer scope, whatever it may be. So they need a round catalyst, square catalyst, rectangle. If you need a catalyst with a bonnet, without a bonnet, flanges, hoops, whatever that may be, we can match whatever application that our customers have. Then finally, last slide here on catalyst basics. We've been stocking a lot of elements. That's something that we've put a lot of importance on recently. We've got warehouses in locations across Oklahoma and Texas. And this really just goes back to meeting our customers' needs and thinking about what we can do to surpass our customers' expectations as a catalyst supplier. Also in Knoxville, we keep a good amount of uncoated inventory available. I think that's what you're seeing on the bottom right, probably. And these are catalysts where we've already made the foil up, we've already got the metallic frames on there. All we need to do now is coat it and put it through the oxidizing process, and that's going to allow us to cut down on our lead time so that you're getting a brand new catalyst in half the time as you would if it were made from scratch. So I encourage everybody on this call, please reach out to your local MIRATECH or PowerTherm rep and let us know what your high movers are. We'd be happy to work with you guys and stock inventory on our shelves to help you guys and help your operations out and move more smoothly. All right, hopefully that was a good refresher on catalyst basics. Again, just trying to get into the how and why behind catalyst performance. We'll move on now into what's new with MIRATECH, which is our Apex Catalyst product line. So one of the things that we had to do when combining companies with PowerTherm was to come up with a collaborative catalyst formulation and take the best pieces of both companies' products and create a new singular product solution. These synergies resulted in a catalyst element that we believe to be at the very top of the industry, the apex, if you will. So we called it the Apex Catalyst. Backed by decades of design experience, we're happy to introduce more options to our customer base with a 1-year, a 2-year, and a 3-year catalyst. The only catalyst on the market with proven methane destruction, and a best-in-class propane catalyst with unrivaled performance and a 3-year warranty. Here's a snapshot of our Apex Catalyst portfolio, and with MIRATECH, you now have options. In both oxidation and 3-way formulations, we've got a 1-year catalyst, a 2-year catalyst, and a 3-year catalyst. And you can think of these as our good, our better, and our best offering that allow us to meet whatever specific needs our customers may have. And throughout our customer base, there's different reasons for having different preferences. Maybe somebody wants a 1-year or a 3-year, and we've seen that happen and play out throughout the years. So what we want to do is just make sure that each customer that we have in that base had a solution that they could be happy with and move forward with. The Apex 3-way element is what we've tested methane destruction on, and our high propane catalyst, again, the Apex P propane catalyst, Comes with the unmatched 3-year warranty. So we're going to talk about VOCs for a minute. Again, these are non-methane, non-ethane hydrocarbons. Today, they are regulated by the EPA. And in our applications on stationary engines, these are produced by unburned fuel and incomplete combustion. We've got that EPA definition up here on the slide for you. You can feel free to read that. I'm not going to walk through that, but depending what's difficult on these VOC compounds is that depending on the exhaust gas composition, these can be more difficult to remove than your standard CO or NOx. In our high propane catalyst, sorry, certain cases are going to require a lot more catalyst volume than standard to meet basic targets, and our high propane catalyst is something that can overcome this. For most of the lean burn applications, a standard Apex 1, 2, or 3-year catalyst is going to do great. And we talked earlier about how propane is the hardest of our non-methane, non-ethane hydrocarbons to remove. So whenever a large amount of propane is present in the in the fuel, it really drags down our VOC performance. And I just want to say that one more time. If there's a ton of propane in there that makes up most of your VOCs, and that propane is the one that's the hardest for us to get rid of, then if you've got a tight VOC target, it's going to be even more difficult to hit that because that propane is still going to be there and it's not going to go away easy. We see this happen usually around 5% of propane in the fuel, and our Apex P propane catalyst has been special designed to overcome these high propane situations and perform even in difficult applications. So just kind of to recap on this, as a rule of thumb, if you have 5% of propane in your fuel, then we recommend that you step up and consider the premium Apex P propane catalyst option. And here's a real world scenario. I think that this came out of the Marcellus, where a customer came to us in one of these applications. We've got propane in the fuel at 7.76%, a VOC target of 0.7 grams. Working with them, putting out a spec sheet, we were able to get 4 standard catalysts down to 0.6 grams of VOC. So we're meeting the target just barely. Everybody's happy. But if you want to take a step further and take a look at it even deeper, we can do a much better job with those Apex P propane catalysts. Using half the volume, so only 2 elements, we're able to get all the way down to 0.2 grams. So that leaves us with a ton of cushion. Customers can sleep easy at night, not being worried about maybe some wells get shut in, there's an anomaly going on with the fuel, and then that 0.6 bumps up out of a 0.7, and now you're no longer in compliance. The Apex P catalyst gives you that peace of mind. It's something that we're really excited to move forward with. This catalyst is washable, and it comes with a 3-year warranty. So it's not something that you're able to put in once and you have to buy every single year because you can't wash it, and it's not going to last. This is something that has proven to be a very large performer for us, and we're happy to back it with that 3-year warranty. Whoops. Moving over to methane now. As some of you may have heard, the Inflation Reduction Act passed last year, but what you might not know is how it could impact U.S. oil and gas operations in the near term. So putting politics aside for now, the Inflation Reduction Act is set to tax methane emissions starting in 2024. This would be the first nationwide fee on any greenhouse gas, so methane is definitely something that the government is paying more and more attention to. And the American Petroleum Institute, which is kind of a governing body for oil and gas, also known as the API, they're looking at what the industry can do to reduce methane emissions and avoid some of these taxes. We've got a couple other guys quoted here. Taking a look at the graphic on the right, these are some of their proposed solutions. So we've got minimizing compressor emissions, minimizing blowdowns, reducing flaring, and retrofitting equipment. MIRATECH's happy to step in on some of these parts and be able to help out and proactively be part of these methane reduction solutions. So companies are being graded more and more by Wall Street on their ESG performance. That's something that has been happening for a few years now. And that's where terms like decarbonization and net zero footprint are coming from. Methane emissions are also lumped into that ESG performance category. Methane is a colorless, odorless gas, and it's the main component in natural gas. Compared to CO2, which can linger for centuries, methane has a lifespan of about 15 years. And CO2 is what a lot of these greenhouse gases are being compared to. You may have heard things, be called CO2 equivalent. That's exactly what we're talking about here. And the EPA uses a factor of 25 when talking about methane as a CO2 equivalent. But lately, we've been starting to hear more and more references of that 25 being actually closer to 80 whenever you take into account the lifespan of methane only being 15 years, whereas CO2 is, again, 1 to 200 years in the atmosphere, which is one reason why it's being targeted, because reducing methane emissions today can have a more immediate impact. It's the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. We're seeing more and more companies and corporations just start out and say that we can do better, and this is happening all across the world in our different industries. The government moves pretty slow, but methane is near the top of their list whenever it comes to air pollution, and MIRATECH has the technology to help be part of that solution right now. I do want to point out this graph over here, or this pie chart on the right. We've got natural gas and petroleum systems as the leading methane emitter at 29%. And this chart came from the EPA website, but I'm a huge proponent of oil and gas here. So just wouldn't feel right if I didn't point out that enteric fermentation at 25% and manure management at 8% are both underneath the agricultural umbrella. And so I don't think that making the ag guys the bad guys worked out as well as making the oil and gas people the bad guys, but wouldn't feel right if I didn't point that out. All right, I thought this was a really great picture, kind of illustrating the various points along the oil and gas life cycle from the wellhead to the end user where methane can be emitted. MIRATECH can come into play along some of these points and help reduce this with our Apex 3 three-way catalyst. Looking at these orange circles here, we've got compressor stations, booster stations, plants, and underground storage. Really anywhere that you've got an engine and a compressor, we can come in and be part of the solution to reduce your company's methane emissions and help out with that process. All right, so this really all kind of took shape for us whenever some end users came to MIRATECH looking for a solution for methane destruction to aid in achieving some of their aggressive ESG goals that they had. We performed field trials on multiple engines for them with our Apex 3 three-way catalyst, and doing that, we were able to quantify how much methane was reduced in each scenario. Using that Apex 3 three-way catalyst is going to help contribute to a company's ESG efforts and can have their natural gas, have their natural gas certified as responsibly sourced gas, or RSG, which is definitely something to look into. And I have seen a lot of companies start promoting that RSG to their end users, to their customers, and again, to their shareholders. And the methane estimate is offered only on our Apex 3 three-year warranty catalyst. It's not offered on the Apex 1 or the Apex 2 elements, and it's only for the first year of life. So here's some example data from some of those field trials that we performed with the Apex 3 three-way catalyst. We're showing methane estimates on the low, medium, and high ranges and potential tax figures from the current legislation for 2024, 25, and 26. Using this Apex 3 three-way catalyst, we can decrease those costs by over 60%. And looking based on how the legislation reads right now, end up saving you or your company tens of thousands of dollars per engine per year in excess methane emission fees. So what MIRATECH is offering with this catalyst is allowing companies to responsibly reduce their operating expenses, responsibly reduce their total cost of catalyst ownership, and responsibly reduce their potential methane taxes. All of this while contributing to the company's ESG goals and doing their part in being a responsible producer. So bringing it all together here, our new Apex line is something that we've spent tons of time and resources developing, and we're excited to bring it to market. People talk sometimes about catalysts as kind of a commodity product, and hopefully today we're kind of able to illustrate that with all the time we've spent with R&D between our wash code, our precious metal distribution, some of the value adds that we're giving with methane destruction and high propane applications that other people can't match. MIRATECH is not in the business of providing commodity products, and the Apex is not a commodity product. We've got a 1, 2, and 3 year solution for any of our customers. We've got a 3-way catalyst that provides methane destruction, a best-in-class propane element with a 3-year warranty, and every shape, geometry, and size you could want. Again, we have control of our own catalyst manufacturing, so if you want a triangle catalyst or somebody has a catalyst like that, we could make it for you. And you're not losing anything with the Apex elements that you were with previous MIRATECH offerings. You're getting your same high quality, high performing catalyst that you've been used to with MIRATECH. And again, we've been putting more and more elements into inventory to help out our customers with quicker turnarounds. So again, please reach out to your local MIRATECH, local Powertherm rep, and we'll be happy to get you taken care of. Awesome. So want to say thanks to everybody for their time today. I know that everyone's always busy, but I really appreciate you sitting in on this webinar to learn more about our Apex Catalyst products, more about MIRATECH as a company. And we're, again, really excited to release these new products and offer even more value to you and to the rest of our customers that we have. My contact info is here. Please reach out to me if any of your questions don't get answered here as we come up, or just if you have a need moving forward, give me a call and I'll help you out or get you to the right person who can. So Tim, I think I'll go ahead and give it to you and you can kind of run through some of the questions that anybody had.
Thanks, Ryan. That was a great presentation. So right now, yeah, we have a little bit of time where we can answer any questions you may have. So you can submit them right now and we'll get to what we can. And if we can't get to a question, we'll make sure to answer it offline, send an email or reach out, and we'll get to it. It looks like we've already had a few come in. First question that we got is, for lean burn engines, is MIRATECH doing anything to help with methane emissions on lean burn engines?
Awesome. Yes. So short answer is yes. We don't have a solution ready to go to market right now. And it's not a catalyst only solution. It's more of a, I guess maybe think of like an SCR system where you need some extra equipment. But we are working on commissioning a lean burn system that should happen in Q1 of the coming year. We'll be collecting data on that for all throughout 2024, but we're hoping if everything tracks well to be able to release kind of on a large scale that solution out to our customers in Q3 and really start heating up those talks. I know that we've got a lot of customers waiting in line, so to speak, to see how these trials go. But yeah, we're excited to get that rolling here in just a couple of months, commission that unit and see what the performance looks like, make some tweaks and release that solution out to the market soon.
Looking through our questions, it looks like we have another one. It says, we've been buying the MEC Beast. Will the performance be different with the switch to the Apex?
Great question. So we sell a ton of Beast catalysts to a lot of our customers, and there's a lot of people that I speak with that, you know, they love the performance and they have no interest in swapping anything else. And so that was definitely something that we took into consideration whenever coming up with the Apex Catalyst product line. Some tweaks were made, but in essence, you shouldn't expect any decrease in performance moving to the Apex 3 catalyst. You should expect the same or even better performance using the Apex 3 catalyst that you were getting from the MECB Beast catalyst. And that goes for both oxidation and 3-way, no performance dip by switching over to the Apex 3.
Next question we just got, are your Apex 1 and Apex 3 elements interchangeable?
So I guess we'll speak. The methane reduction is not available on the Apex 1 or 2, but as far as if you've got a solution and you need to hit a target, yes, you can put an Apex 1 catalyst, an Apex 2 catalyst, or an Apex 3 catalyst in there. The difference is just the warranty on it. So we'd expect an Apex 1 catalyst to fail sooner than an Apex 2 or even an Apex 3 catalyst. But for that initial year of life, we would expect similar performance running through all of them.
Just looking through. Looks like that's all we've had that's come in as far as questions. If we didn't answer your question and you want to reach us offline, obviously here's Ryan's contact information. I'll also be sending up a follow-up email with this contact information as well. So if you can't get it right now, make sure we'll have an email going out to everyone, and we'll make sure to reach out if you haven't had your question answered during this time. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for attending today. Reminder, recorded version of this will also be made available, and I'll send that out later today. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you at the next one.